Pandemonium Reigns.
Hello, thanks for tuning in. Pandemonium Reigns, episode 123. Appreciate you guys tuning in and hanging out with us. Today it's going to be a fun one. I think. This is going to be one of the very few times where I... hang on. No. Yeah, where I don't like that we agree so much. I do wish that we had a little bit of a conflicting perspective here, but you know what they say about like minds. They're handsome. Here we are. Look at us. Look at us. We're going to talk playoff, and the result that is the playoff. You get what I'm saying? We're going to discuss it. We're going to complain about it. We're going to offer better solutions because we have them. We are both just some casual minds from south of the Mason-Dixon, ready to bring you our opinion. It means absolutely nothing. But here we are. We're going to do it. We're going to dive right into this. I'm Dan. He's Mike. This is Pandemonium Reigns. Mike, it's a broken system.
It's a bad system. You know, it's a bad system.
It's a very bad system. Yes.
And it depends on, let's just call it what it is. Where your bias lies also impacts, as much as anything else, your view on this situation. Ripping the Band-Aid off. I'd like to think that I want Florida State in based on the sport of college football, not my hatred and disdain for Alabama. But it's obviously a factor. It is a factor, okay?
Yeah.
But based on Alabama going in over Florida State, here's what your playoff ranking should have been. You ready? I've got it for you.
Through your eyes?
Based on Alabama being over Florida State, I've got what your ranking should have been.
Okay.
All right. So, and this is based on a multitude of arguments and debates that I've heard this week from others, not that I've been a part of, unfortunately. But based on what they did, your ranking should have been Texas, Alabama, Georgia, and then, I don't know, who do you think's more impressive out of Washington, Michigan, and Florida State? You tell me.
Are you saying like this is what is that based off of? I'm not understanding. What is this based off of?
I'm basing this off of, okay, we're picking Alabama because they're healthy. I mean, honestly, why are we picking Alabama again?
Oh, I got you.
But if you put Alabama in over Florida State, then your ranking should be, again, Texas beat Alabama. That's okay. You're saying that's the most impressive win of the season because they beat Georgia. And then you're saying that losses don't matter. So we're saying Texas because they did beat Alabama, Alabama because they beat Georgia, Georgia because we know they're good. Heck, I don't know.
I got you.
And then again, put up Michigan's name, Washington's name, and Florida State's name on a wall. Put a blindfold on your eyes. Throw a dart wherever it's closest to is number 4.
That's going to
that's what
gets in. Yeah,
that's what Alabama at number 4 and Texas at number 3 mean. That's what it means.
No, well, your question that you threw in there just for the split second of why Alabama, why are they in there? Yes, it's because they're healthy. It's the name and image that is Alabama. It's the branding, and it drives dollars. That's why. Nonetheless.
Yes, but again, that's what Alabama over Florida State means. That's what it means, whether you accept it or not. That's what it means. Because there's not a difference in, other than who you play first round, getting in is all that matters.
Yeah.
So that's what it means.
Okay. Well, I do think, okay, so there, in my mind, there is a clear answer on the top 4. I think it's clear. I think the field showed us who the 4 is. However, I will give the casual, the biased fan, I will give them this. that there's no right answer. I will come to that. And that's about as far as I will go, if that makes sense. So
there's no right answer, but you would say, per the sport of college football, that it was wrong, correct?
It's wrong.
Okay. All right.
It's
Making
wrong.
sure.
And it's wrong because it's wrong in principle, and it's wrong in logic. It's built off of assumption, and it's built off what drives the dollar, and it's built off what we think is going to, or excuse me, what the committee thinks is going to happen.
Yep.
Not what actually happened on the field. So you've got the argument that, well, it's the best four, right? Well, clearly, Bama is. You don't know that. You don't know that. And only a game can decide that. And you know what? Yeah. You could even argue that once a game is over, that maybe the better team lost. But you have to, and because of that, because of the objectiveness to it, you have to go with what happened on the field. They punished Florida State for an injury.
Yeah.
And they outright said it, dude. Did you see it?
Yes, I did see it. I've heard it.
Let me read it.
The talk. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let me read it for the listeners. So This is Boo Corrigan, explaining why FSU was left out of the top four. He says this: Florida State is a different team than they were through the first 11 weeks, said Corrigan. An incredible season. But as you look at who they are as a team right now, without Jordan Travis, without the offensive dynamic that he brings to it, they are a different team. Do you know? Okay, wait. Can you imagine the pressure and blame that you just put on that kid for getting hurt?
Yeah. And you make him say things like, I wish I broke my leg weeks earlier. That's what you do.
Dude, that's... And again, you and I have referenced this. I'm sorry, but it wasn't JT Barrett who was hosting the trophy in 2014.
Nope.
It was Cardell Jones, somebody we haven't talked about since the 2023 playoff for this reason. Yeah. So you just don't know until you actually play the game. And everybody's saying, well, I mean, do you really want to see Georgia and TCU over again? You're assuming that's going to happen again. You're assuming that's going to happen again.
Yeah. And actually, what you're doing when you ask that question, did you expect TCU to beat Michigan in the first round?
No, you did not. Nobody did.
Exactly.
I mean, did we expect Washington 10-point underdogs to beat Oregon a second time? No, they did one of the most difficult things in the sport, beat the same team twice in a season. You have to let the field determine this thing. So in my mind, your top four, and you could argue the order here, because what's fascinating to me is nobody is talking about Michigan. And
nobody is talking about Michigan. And I've got some.
Yeah.
And I like cheating. Michigan. I've got some takes.
Yeah. The cheating scandal and the strength of schedule, right? I mean, so what we're doing is we're pushing Michigan in because they beat the brand that is Ohio State. Well, you know, Ohio State had some struggles. The QB1 is out the door. He's gone. He's entered the portal.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my top four: Michigan, Washington State, Texas, Florida State. Or sorry. Michigan, Washington, Florida State, Texas. 3 and 4, I'm okay with interchanging.
I'm really not, because basically, and here's the reason I'm not, is because when, you know, in the order that they went, when they did the show on Sunday afternoon, when you saw Texas was at 3 before you saw who was in at number 4. And when they put Texas at number 3, I mean, I could have taken a number 2. I could have thrown up, because you know what it means when they did that to me. That was my take, in my opinion in that moment. And I was right, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But you're correct. Not a single soul talking about Michigan.
Nobody.
The terrible schedule that it was. And Georgia played one too. We know that both teams had games canceled for various reasons. You know what I mean? Oklahoma for Georgia, and Washington, I think, should have played Michigan this year. It could have been last year. The schedules were terrible. They were terrible. Okay. Here's what else I've heard. All right. Well, Florida State, they should have, they don't play. They played in the terrible ACC. Okay. They beat the Heisman winner because again, things that should happen here. They beat the Heisman winner with an offseason of game planning and an offseason of revenge on the mind. They beat the Heisman winner. They did it last year too, by the way. They beat a very average Florida team at the end of the year. Okay. Let's look at Alabama and Georgia's opponents that are the toughest. Okay. Alabama, they didn't quite beat LSU as well as Florida State did. Can't really change my mind on that. One was neutral site, one was at home for the other team being Alabama. Okay. Ole Miss then is the second best team that both teams played. Am I correct on that?
I guess. Mutual, because it ain't us.
Record-wise, it's Ole Miss. Talent-wise, it's Texas A&M for Alabama. Georgia didn't play them.
Final score-wise, it's Auburn.
Final score-wise, it's Auburn. Both teams sucked out loud with full strength almost, at least at the quarterback position. They sucked out loud against Auburn. That was before Brock Bowers was even injured. And, I've talked about how they didn't get him the ball until they needed to, and they wouldn't win the game. Okay. What else can Florida State do? These games are scheduled as of right now, 8 to 12 years in advance. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Have you seen the price to get out of the ACC? Have you seen what it is?
Oh, it's stupid. It's stupid.
Okay. So there's two things that they can't do, right? And it just so happens to be that they did play two SEC teams. One that they play annually, the other being the third, fourth, fifth best team in the league on a neutral site with revenge on their mind for 12 months.
Yeah.
And they beat them.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? My whole deal with that is if people are saying, well, Florida, they're not good. Then stop chanting SEC. Yeah, stop chanting SEC. You don't get to do that. You don't get to just look at the top half and go, oh, SEC, when your bottoms, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, and Florida are sucking it up. You don't get to do that. This is why I think right now, I think I said this on the last episode, Pac-12, top to bottom, probably your best conference. I'm going to take the bottom end. I'm going to give me Arizona over middle of the pack to the bottom of the SEC. I'm taking those guys. Oregon State, they did it to Florida. Did it to Florida in the bowl game. So it's just dumb. And so you're okay. So to extend this point, they're upset because Florida State looked really bad. They didn't pass the eye test against Louisville. Who is Louisville? They're not good. They're a top 15 team coming in the country. Jeff Brom, knows how to dial it up. You've got dudes who are going to be playing in the league on that roster. They play physical. They play scrappy. They got a lot of Utah in them as far as the way the style in which they play. It's a reason that they went 10-3. All right. And you held them to 6. You held them to 6 when you couldn't do really much offensively. I get that. You couldn't. I feel like it feels like a double-edged sword, right? You couldn't do much offensively. You did enough offensively. You without QB1, without QB2, you did it with QB3, right?
Oh, we're going to did more than Michigan, by the way, in the same time frame.
Thank you. And you did it. You did it with QB3. So you beat Louisville, top 15 team in the country, without Jordan Travis. But we're not going to look at Bama healthy, needing a miracle to beat Auburn. We're just going to ignore that. You did because you looked better that night in Jordan Hare. Is that what it is? Because you played better. What subjectivity and objectivity? Why is this allowed to determine who is better than who? You and I have said 1,000 times, if this is what we're going to do, let's just recruit and we'll build a top 4 off of the daggum recruiting rankings. You have to go by what happens on the field. And you've punished a team. Best team, right? Best team. We need the best 4 teams. Okay. I have another argument. Yes, Florida State is without Jordan Travis. Are they different without Jordan Travis? Yes. Is any team going to be different without their QB1 that late in the season? Yes. Okay, so if we're going to talk about team, though, let's talk about Jared Verse, who's going to go first round. Yeah. Let's talk about Brandon Fisk, who's going to make a first round push, probably second round. Akeem Dent, who's going to play in the league for a long time, Deloach, who's going to play in the league for the long time, Johnny Wilson, who's going to play, Keon Coleman, who's probably a first-round draft pick. That offensive line, every one of those is NFL dudes. Trey Benson is an NFL guy. Jaheim Bell. Are you kidding me? Are you? This is what we're. So it's not even best team.
No,
not even best team.
No,
it's. Oh, we don't like this matchup.
This one. Nobody will watch this game. Oh no.
Yeah. You know what? Nobody's gonna watch the Orange Bowl because now you got Florida State dudes opting out.
Yeah,
and I don't blame
everybody's
them.
opting out.
I don't blame them,
dude. Honest to God, if I was Norvell or if I was the AD. You've seen these things online, but we're going through every process right up until we run out of the tunnel onto the field. Because at that point, we're on the bus heading back to the hotel, picking up our stuff. We've cashed the check that you've given us for the game. We've got all the swag, all the Orange Bowl garbage that you give us.
Yeah,
we're back in Tallahassee, or we're doing what we want because the season's over and it's like 3 weeks until the next one starts when winter workouts start back. So. No, it's actually not because that game's played at the end of the year. So it's like, I'm going to go have myself a day or two, maybe enjoy another night in Miami or whatever. And then I'm going to focus on 2024 if it even matters.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to see me dead on that field. You're not going to catch me dead on that field. I'm not even kidding at this point.
I think Florida State should go, but not play, and then take the field, walk back off and say, we identify as the better team.
Yeah. Or, we identify as I'm Jordan Travis or whatever, like I'm hurt.
There we go. It's a liberal world in 2023. Just have somebody dress up as Jordan Travis and put the jersey on.
Yeah.
So I went back and I found some info on criteria for ranking the top 4, top 25 done by the committee. Going back to 2014, and I only grabbed a few years here. Just what you're going to find out, dude, is that they're not even playing by their own rules.
Nope.
Not even playing by okay, so 2014. Obviously, this is the first year, so they put out that a 12-person selection committee will rank the top 25, and that the top 4 at the end of the season will be seated in the semifinals. The criteria, 2014, first year of the playoff. The criteria is emphasized on conference champion, strength of schedule, and head-to-head results. 2017, conference championship, strength of schedule, head-to-head competition, if applicable, outcomes of common opponents, and other relevant factors, they write, which is very gray. I don't like that they put that.
Very human right there. Huh?
Yeah. All right. 2018. Conference championships. I'm seeing a theme here.
Yeah.
Strength of schedule, head-to-head competition, outcomes of common opponents, other relevant factors. Finally, 2023. Conference championships. Oh, so there's a theme. So you're telling me winning your conference matters, but it doesn't. Got it.
Right.
All right, cool. Strength of schedule and head-to-head competition. Let me pause right here just for a moment because the Bama beat an LSU team. So did Florida State, as you noted. Okay. Strength of schedule. As you noted, Florida State schedules LSU, beats what is probably going to be the Heisman Trophy winner. 2 of their out-of-conference opponents are SEC. What else do you want them to do? If this is not going to work, stop scheduling it. Don't risk losing because it's not going to matter. And then, all right, so moving on, comparative outcomes of common opponents. Sorry, we said that they both played LSU. Is that right? Is that what we said? Okay, just making sure. Is there any other common opponents? Nope, there's not. Right? Nope. Okay.
Correct.
And then other relevant factors such as unavailability of key players and coaches that may have affected a team's performance during the season or likely will affect its postseason performance. I want to know when that made it in.
Yeah, me too.
I want to know when that made it in.
Do you remember throughout the, it's not been long, but we both have busy lives and, we would see the college football rankings week to week this year. And the losses that Tennessee took during that time were first Missouri, by an ungodly 29 points on the road, and then by less than that at home against Georgia, back to back. And Tennessee very peculiarly stayed around 20 as really the low spot in the college football playoff rankings. And I remember being like, "What the heck? We're lower than that in the coaches. We're lower than that in the media." But those don't matter whatsoever. They absolutely do not matter.
Mm-hmm.
The one that matters is the one I'm talking about. The one that Alabama and Georgia both beat, that needs to look better on some grounds, meaningless grounds of the college football playoff rankings at this point. What I'm talking about. I mean, they made it up as they went, dude. This is just all the garbage and all the crap in this sport. And this really takes the top off of all of it.
I've heard people say that they choose the top 4 based off who is easiest to defend as far as argument wise.
Yeah.
And if that was your approach going into this, boy, you've gotten yourself into a pickle, because now state of Florida, DeSantis is involved in this, or he's encouraging Florida State to sue. My gosh. And this is my whole issue with this thing. I get it. They are told to choose the best 4, and that's my problem. You've got to change your criteria into getting in this. You got to create some black and white, very clear standards to get in.
Yep.
And if you don't meet those standards, you're nixed. You're out. You didn't do it. So let me ask you this, dude. What would you say to the person who says, well, Alabama should be in, and you shouldn't hold that Texas loss against them because they are a different team? You and I have both spoken to the progression of Bama. Yes, they got better. Yes. But what would you say? I think I know what this is, because it's probably what I've been saying, to the person who says, you can't leave Bama out. You can't hold that loss against them because they're a different team now. They're a different team.
The first thing I would say, and there's really like 2 to 3 things I would say. The first is the simplest, and that is win your games. Win them, and you're in. Hey, look at Texas. They're in because they beat you. They have one loss like you, and that's that. You know what I mean? That's that.
Right. Don't lose by 10 at home.
Yeah. The second thing I would say, and it's right along the same lines, you can say, well, Florida State, it took everything, and heaven had to move for them to beat Boston College. Did they beat USF by 10? That would be number 2. Did they look so bad early in the year that they had all this room for improvement? Because that applies to only Alabama. As far as playoff teams, they usually don't look that bad or have to make that journey. Those would be my things, man. But the first one is the most simple. It's the easiest. Win your games. The sport of college football, the eye test is human garbage. The NFL, it's super simple, but there's only 32 teams. There's not 130. There's not, a handful of Power 5 teams that can actually do it. There might be 30. There's really not. But that's the simplest thing I can say is win your games and take the human element out of it, because, like I've been telling you, better team? Yeah, probably. But that's not college football.
Spot on, my guy. You know what? I'm glad you brought up the USF loss or win. Sorry. That was a 14-point win, by the way, 17-3.
14. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was 17-7. My bad.
So I've heard this. Well, Florida State looked god awful against Boston College, right? And you looked god awful against USF. You know who else you looked god awful against? Arkansas. You also wasn't there?
Nope.
What now?
I said bowl team. No.
Yeah, bowl team. Nope. And
at home as well, by the way.
And it took a prayer to beat Auburn, who couldn't throw, couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And the argument that I'm getting a lot from there now, this is majority Bama guys saying, well, that's a rivalry game. So this now has an asterisk?
Yeah.
I mean, this doesn't make sense, man.
Yeah. Okay. So Auburn's a better running team. They did the same thing to Georgia. You're telling me that Florida State then cannot come up with anything to run the ball with better talent against Alabama with a month to prepare and a potential championship on the line? it would be against one of the playoff teams, not against Alabama.
Right.
But I mean, that's what you're telling me. The coaches don't know what to do. I mean, they won the games after they lost the guys. They've got better talent than, a lot of involved teams. And certainly I think would have beaten Auburn better than Georgia and Alabama. But I mean, seriously, pull out all the asterisks, pull out all the stops, tell yourself whatever you need to. But it's just not the sport that we've watched. It's not.
Right. And plus, the minute we get into, well, they're a different team now, well, or they beat this team by this X amount or didn't lose by this X amount. So the minute you start doing that, the minute you have to insert a conversation of, okay, well, here comes Auburn again, and they got slapped by New Mexico State, but they almost beat you. They almost got you. So is Auburn good or are they bad? What are they? So if you say that they're bad, you're going to have to say, well, took everything you had to beat a bad team. You and Georgia both. And another argument that I'm getting is, well, why are we not having this conversation with Oklahoma? Texas lost to Oklahoma because Oklahoma's not in the conversation. Oklahoma didn't do the things in order to be here. Oklahoma wasn't competing for a Big 12 championship. Oklahoma State was. That's why. So then you've got your top four, and you've got Alabama and Oklahoma and Texas on the outside looking in, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason you go with Texas because of the head-to-head. It was done on the field. We have played this game, and this is my biggest issue with the playoff. It was my biggest issue in 2011. We've played this game. We played it. It's already been played. Why are we doing this again? Same thing with 2021. Yeah, Alabama and Georgia.
Yeah.
And listen, we're Tennessee dudes. We hate Bama, hate them, loathe them, go fall in mud. But you know what? Bama shouldn't have to play Georgia for a title in 21. They already beat them. They already did it. Why do they have to do it twice? Why does your champion these days have to repeat things? This is dumb. This game was played already. So I'm out of words.
And here I go again. I'm going there again. I'm sorry. Not really, though. We're talking about why teams have to beat teams twice to win a national championship. 2021, look at it, other times that it's happened. That happened because there were barely 4 teams good enough to get in for a championship. So taking it to 12 is the resolution.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, you just got me wound up. So the same logic that they hold against Florida State is going to apply to every other team when you expand to 12. You really want to see that? Well, that's really what you want to see. This is what you want to see. I mean, you're punishing teams and saying, well, they're not the same, and this is what you really want to see. Well, that's what you're about to expand to. Never. So I've been an advocate for keep your 14 playoff, have your BCS calculated. Now, just give me the BCS model. Just give me the BCS. Yeah. Give me Michigan and Washington. Just give me that and let that determine it. Because you know what? They went undefeated.
100%.
You're going to have an argument. You're going to have an argument with Michigan. You're going to have one. You're not going to have one with Washington in my mind. You're not going to have it because
I value going. I'm sorry to cut you off. I didn't mean
you're good.
I value going undefeated, and I don't care. I don't care who you play. I value going undefeated and winning your games because it ain't the NFL. It's not.
Yeah.
Because it's not yet. Now they're making it one. It's not yet a system based on the best recruiting class is your national championship. It's not.
Yeah.
It ain't yet that. They're making it that. But because it's not, and because I've watched the sport for 30 years, I have a problem. Win your games and you're in. I mean,
win the game.
Like if it was a 2-team, I would favor Florida State because they did play LSU in Florida. At least LSU.
Yeah.
I would at least give them that. They did beat Clemson at home, and Clemson was an 8-4 team with issues at the time. But whatever. I mean, I value winning the games because that's what should matter.
Yeah, absolutely. But it doesn't. And I can only imagine this is only going to get worse from here. Right. I mean, is a 12-team playoff? And I'm asking you this: is a 12-team playoff going to slap a Band-Aid on this conversation, or is it going to fix it? I really don't know at this point.
Again, to me, it makes it worse. But here's why it makes it worse for me. Okay, because if and I'm not someone that thinks your champion is ever, not even once, going to come from 5 through 12, unless it's like this year where you move Georgia, and it's stupid, but you move Georgia from 1 to 6, below Florida State, by the way. Think about the conversation we're having. Okay. Well, they get in, and now they get a month or 2-3 weeks to get guys healthy. Okay. I trust Kirby Smart to win games like that. That's when I think your champion could come from 5 through 12. But if ever you want it to be a team like Florida State, who is both rebuilding their brand, what they have been, Norvell is doing a great job of that, obviously. I mean, they're undefeated. If you ever want someone like that to win it, who has a special combination of a Johnny Wilson, a Keon Coleman, Jordan Travis, where it's not just you're a machine every single year. Well, now there's another game for them to get hurt in. And now you want them to go to prove more is what you want them to do. That's another issue I have for this on the college football front in terms of this is not the NFL. Well, there's a few teams, like there's 2 teams right now that are machines, Georgia and Alabama. And no, they don't win every national championship. It is largely between the 2.
Yeah.
But even Ohio State, even Texas A&M, Clemson, look at how they've recruited. It does not equal a ring every single time. It just doesn't.
Because you still have to do something on the field.
Win your games.
still have to do it on the field.
And again, now you've got another one to stay healthy through, to not show too many tendencies for Connor Stallions to pick up on when they're getting a bye. You know what I mean? Jokes aside, you're getting scouted more. You're taking more of a beating. I mean, all this while another thing that just made me mad is player safety. Obviously not an actual factor ever. All about the dollar bill. It's just ridiculous, man. I'm sorry.
There's going to be an argument there.
Make it worse.
There's going to be an argument there. Let me come back to this. Let's take a time to thank our sponsors real quick. Let me tell you about our friend Lauren Foster. Real estate, covering the entire state of Georgia. Doing it since 2018. That's 5 years. If you don't know math, covering North Georgia, Lake Lanier, Forsyth, Hall, and Dawson counties. If you're looking to get into this area, to get out of this area, to get your dream home, to sell your dream home, I don't know why you'd ever want to do that. She is going to be your girl. She's a member of the KWC $1 Million Club. That's an over $1 million in sales. That's a lot of money. If you need a real estate agent, she is your girl. Hit her up. Lauren Foster 1, LAURENFOSTER 1 at KW.com. Lauren Foster 1 at KW.com. Make sure you sign your email, Pandemonium. Okay, so getting back in this conversation, you talk about an extended playoff. They're punishing Travis because of the injury and what an extended playoff could do to, the health of the players. I think the only argument there is that they do it at, your D3 levels, your D2 levels and whatnot. I think your opposing argument to that is, well, you don't have the type of athletes that you do, at this D1 level that we're talking about.
Yeah.
I think if you move the same conversation into next year where you've got a 12-team playoff, you're basically arguing over who's the better 9-3 team. Well, we think this now. I mean, so what have you accomplished by expanding this thing? I think the only thing you've accomplished is if you put a 12-team playoff this year, you've given Florida State a chance to say, okay, that's the way you feel, prove it. But now you have a greater task at hand because of the amount of games. So I don't think that a 12-team playoff is going to solve this by any stretch. And I don't think it's going to end at 12. I won't be surprised that the day that they take it to 16. And if it goes past 16, then my gosh. And why would you okay, so here's what I wanted to get at. So now you got the greater task at hand with advancing through a 12-team playoff. And it's like if everybody is pushing, wanting, desiring for this to look like the NFL, for this to look like Division II, Division III. Just expand the playoff. Just let the on-field, results be your factor. Determine your champion on the field. What if you're already doing that in the regular season? And this is my issue that we've said 1,000 times, right? With a 12-team playoff. Like, you're already doing that. We've already seen, for example, Alabama and Texas. We've seen this already. And you know what? If we're talking about how good of a product a game is going to put out, I'm going to take the product when it's at a home and home or at somebody's home as opposed to when it's at neutral turf. I'm gonna say that experience is going to be better overall. So I see no good reason. And I think this playoff is showing you this right here. What's happening is you don't need 12 teams. A 12-team playoff doesn't offer you a solution. It takes the same problem and it changes your variables or changes your characters. We go from talking about Florida State and Alabama or Texas to, gosh, I don't know.
Ole Miss, Missouri, Tulane.
Yeah, I mean,
Tulane.
Yeah, like, what are we doing? So all that said, I know I rambled right there for a minute, but you're just not going to convince me that an expanded playoff is going to offer your solution. Maybe you do this by year. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, I was just sitting here thinking about that. How nice that would be to have if you really wanted to fix something.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to fix something.
Or let Alabama and Florida State go head to head for the 4th spot. I mean, you punished a kid because he got hurt. You punished a team because a player got hurt. And now that you get these memes flying around of, well, Trevor Lawrence is down. Are you going to punish the Jaguars? They're not the same team.
Love them.
They're not the same team. So this game is next man up mentality. The team has done more than enough to buy their way into this playoff, and you highway robbed them.
Yep.
And I don't know what else you want them to do, because like we said, they scheduled LSU. They did of course it wasn't a home and home, but they did a 2-year deal with them on neutral turf. You play Florida every year. And the kid gets hurt against Northern Alabama. Well, they shouldn't have played Northern Alabama. Well, you played Chattanooga. So what if this happens? I mean, seriously, tell me, what if this happens? If this is the variable, let me flip over to your top, because I got it printed out here, the simulated BCS versus the playoff committee. So let's say Milroe gets hurt in the SEC championship game, ACL, whatever. And let's say Beck, I guess. I mean, I was going to say Brock Bowers. He's already injured. Do you just slide Ohio State in there? Wait. Oh, he's in the transfer portal. Now you got to slide Missouri in there.
Yeah. 2-loss Missouri.
And that might, maybe the argument for people is, injuries, that amount of volume of injuries like that don't happen. Okay. Kirk Cousins, Nick Chubb, Joe Burrow, Darren Waller, whatever his name is. How many have we ever seen injuries like this? I mean, they're just stacked one on top of the other. So it can happen.
All of these starting quarterbacks injured in the league, even the god-awful ones like Kenny Pickett. Look at it.
There you go.
It's never been a heavier game than it is right now.
So what we do is we dismiss losses and we punish injury. That's what we're doing. And again, just don't give me the the ACC, the Florida State garbage schedule. They did what they could. Yeah, they struggled with Boston College. How many teams in the SEC is Boston College going to beat, though?
Dude, I mean, yeah, the SEC, once the West died a few years ago, the SEC
top to bottom, it's not good.
The conference has not recovered since since Gus really forgot how to do anything at Auburn. I mean, Arkansas hasn't done much flat out since Petrino left. Now he's back. A&M has not really ever held up their end of the bargain. They beat Alabama once. They have given them some good games. They can't do anything with the talent that they have. LSU is like, you're not going to get the reference, but there was, an odd year Giants theme for the San Francisco Giants about 10 years ago. That's LSU, except it's like every 5 years they're going to be freaky good and just, above average good every other year. The conference is not what it used to be because the West is not what it used to be. The East is now kind of an issue with Florida not giving you much. Tennessee maybe being inconsistently above average. We'll see. It's just the conference is a mess. To your point, Boston College would have done fairly well against like teams in the SEC.
I mean, put them in the above. Put them in the East. Put them in the East. You think they're really going to struggle with 5-7 South Carolina, with Kentucky? Probably. Nope. I mean, maybe. I mean, Florida. Right. Vanderbilt. Speaking of, Vanderbilt covered the spread one time this year. It was against Georgia. That's right. It was Georgia. It's against Georgia. So, I mean, I know we're just pushing time at this point, but talk about Georgia for a second, because everybody's saying, well, if you want the best 4 teams, they should be in it. Okay. UT Martin, Ball State, UAB, Auburn, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Florida. Now we're finally starting to get somewhere. Missouri, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Georgia Tech.
Who you beat by 8 points. A 6-6 Georgia Tech.
Who you beat by 8 points.
And again, on the night that Auburn needed a prayer, Alabama needed a prayer to beat Auburn. But yeah, I mean, I think if you wanted to fix this, I really do. I've come to this peace. You know what I mean? This has been therapeutic, and I've got the resolution that'll never happen. If you want a resolution, years like this one, years like the ones that we've discussed, we need 6 this year. And I don't mean like 1 plays 6. I mean 5 and 6 play for their way till you get to 4. If we need 8, then we'll figure it out, because it ain't that hard to figure it out. We overcomplicate it. We let in who we want in. It's not as hard as we make it out to be. Yeah.
Are you going to tell me? So do this. Take Florida State's roster and put them in Bama jerseys, and take Bama's rosters and put it in Florida State jerseys. Are we really having the same conversation? We're not.
Nope.
Saban will figure out QB2. He'll figure it out, by God. That's what we're doing. That's exactly what we're doing.
And we know for a fact that he didn't this year. Tyler Buckner's going to go play lacrosse at Notre Dame now. But he didn't figure it out.
I got nothing, man.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I got nothing.
I do want to say this, and because I think we've pretty much covered every angle, and if we haven't, let's keep going. But all of the just stank breath, garbage mouth, paid for talking heads, I'm done with you. I'm back to zero trust in you because what was happening was, Kirk Herbstreit's getting tweets pulled from 2014 and earlier this year. Don't worry about it. It'll play itself out. Just win your games. And now the opposite is being said. Flat out. Out the opposite is being said.
Yeah.
Dan Orlovsky, I've seen him making several comments where it's literally just, if you watch the date stamps and the time stamps flip, so does his angle and what he's going for. The common theme, ESPN, the dollar bill, your bias, Greg McElroy, your bias. You know what I mean? Talking about you can't win a championship with subpar quarterback play, and you had 50 net yards in 2009. Do I understand that the game has changed? Yes, I do. Do I know that defensive, offensive line, running game wins championships? I certainly know that.
I mean, has the game changed? Sure. But, Texas was running a spread. So,
yep.
And did he not say, Saban, at the beginning of the season that they wanted to get back offensively to who they were?
He did. It's okay. He did.
Hey, let's end with this, man.
Yeah.
As I tell you that Ja'Cory Brooks is entering the transfer portal. Breaking news.
Ja'Cory Brooks.
Alabama receiver.
Ja'Cory.
The portal conversation this year is just wild.
Oh my God. I really can't wait to have an episode when some dust settles. I really can't wait to. I mean that.
All right. So I'm going to look at this based off conference record. All right. So your worst teams in the conference, Vanderbilt at 0-8, Arkansas and Mississippi State at 1-7. Pac-12, Colorado. I'm taking Colorado over all three of those.
100 times out of 100.
So, and then you've got 2-7 Washington State. You know who I'm going to take Washington State over? I'm going to take them over 3-5 South Carolina. I might take them over 3-5 Auburn. I'm probably
going to take Cam Ward over a lot of people.
Yep. Going to take them over 3-5 Florida. Probably going to take them over 3-5 Kentucky.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then you get up to Stanford, which I know a little less about, but Stanford and Arizona State sit right there together at 2-7.
Wow.
So I'll tell you, I'll take them over Arkansas, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt.
Well,
South
Mississippi
Carolina.
State did beat Arizona State for what it's worth. They did.
That's right. I forgot about that. Okay.
But overall, I mean, it wasn't like
but wait, on-field results don't matter, bro.
Yeah, you're right. That's right.
Then you start to get to the middle of the pack. UCLA 4-5, Cal 4-5, USC 5-4, Utah 5-4. I'm just telling you right now, those middle of the pack Pac-12 teams, I'm taking over every middle of the Pac-12 teams in the SEC. I'm doing it. Yeah. It's only when you really start to get to the top where I go, oh, Washington and Georgia or Bama, man, I don't know. Oregon, man, I don't know. But your top four in the conference, Washington, or I feel like I'm saying Washington, like Washington, Oregon, Arizona, Oregon State. I'll take all four, at least 3 of the 4 against Mizzou. I might take 2 of them. I'm definitely going to take Washington, Oregon over Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
Might even take Oregon State over Tennessee.
Yeah.
Might even shoot the quarterback at Arizona. He's a freaking baller. Might take him over Tennessee. Tennessee might go 0-4. I mean, this is my point. Top to bottom, like you're gonna be hard pressed to show me a better conference. I think the Big 12 might make a case as well, but your bottoms in the Big 12 were really bad. Your Pac-12 bottom. I mean, Colorado. I mean, if you're do what you're going to do with injuries, but are you going to punish them for offensive line injuries, stuff like that? I mean, it's not even injuries, right? It was just being thin. Anyway, whatever. On-field results don't matter. It just does not matter. So
doesn't.
So my solution. I've always said take your 4-team playoff and have the BCS calculator, right? And for the most part, I really stick to that because you have to make an argument this year because your BCS this year. Have you seen this?
I have. I think I disagreed with it, but go ahead.
Yeah, I disagree with it. Michigan 1, Washington 2, Bama 3, Florida State 4. Leaving out Texas. I like that better than the CFP committee's results.
I don't know, man. I don't because I think that's how glaring I think it is to have Alabama over Texas or both over Florida State.
If you're giving me one of the two, I mean that's the one that I'm going to take.
You did at least at that point get 3 undefeated teams in, and that's what I'm about.
But the issue with that one is Texas beat Bama by 10 at their place. And if the week 2 game doesn't matter, don't play it.
Yeah, for real. I mean, seriously.
If you're
a game has got to go unless you truly want to see 3 rounds at some point, like next year maybe.
Right.
Georgia and Alabama. If you want to see it in week 4, if you want to see it in Atlanta, and then if you want to see it in the playoff, keep the conference championship games and don't change anything. If you want to do that.
Yeah.
But we're sitting here telling you how ridiculous it is to have to beat somebody twice for a championship, and now you're going to have to do it 3 times, or at least win the last one.
This is what I've always loved about college football. There's so much value on the regular season, so much value in every game, right? And now that's just gone. You're just going to make it like every other sport. But this one's worse because this is now the only sport where a group of people decide who gets in and who gets out. It's a messed up system. So what I would do, I mean, I probably stick to my guns and say have the BCS calculate your top 4. But I think what I do now in hindsight of this is I keep it at 4. I think your national champion is in your 4. There has to be value on the regular season. Week 2 has to be just as important as week 13, right? Play the game. On the field results matter. And you have certain things that you have to do to get in.
Yeah.
Whether that be a head-to-head matchup, whether that be winning your conference, don't win the conference, don't get in, just a clear set of standards and criteria. Hey, if you do this, but you don't do this, you're not in. And if it's in this scenario where this happens, this is how this will be determined. And it's all based on what happens on the field. It's all based on what happens on the field. I don't know of a better way to do it.
To me, there is none. Once it goes to 12 teams, if you've lost to the same team twice, you're out. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't need a 3rd round. Give me something, man.
Yeah.
The conference championship games is the first week of the playoff. Give me that. But no, that's not it. So garbage. Heading in the wrong direction, and it's garbage now.
Yep. Well, I believe that's all we got. This is going to be one of the longer episodes that we've done. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We would love to hear your opinion, even though it will be wrong. We would love for you to comment, let us know about it. We do appreciate, seriously, you tuning in and hanging out with us. And I do want to remind you, if you're listening to this, maybe you're a Florida State guy, whatever. At the end, it's just a game. It's not worth getting in some kind of conflict with family or whoever. And I've seen some pretty heated arguments and things not end well. And I'm just telling you, it's not worth it. Get upset about the things that matter, and this is not one of those things that matters. And that's why I have a whole issue with the DeSantis wanting to sue the playoff committee. Give me a break.
Yeah. Do all those things. Also hang a banner. Then you're good.
Yeah. Just do what UCF did. Hang a banner.
That's it.
Hang a banner. Claim it. Anyways, we love you guys. Appreciate our sponsor, Lauren Foster, proud sponsor of the Pandemonium Reigns podcast. This is episode 123. Man, sometimes it feels like episode 7. Yeah, we love you guys. Appreciate you hanging out with us. I'm Dan. He's Mike. God bless. Go Balls.
GBO.
Pandemonium Reigns.